Namaskar dear learners, and welcome to the very important lecture in the research, that is review of literature, or you can say studying the relevant articles or books or academic literature for your study. So, welcome to this lecture, and in the series of lectures you have been listening to various methods, tools of research. When you write your proposal, when you write your dissertation, it is important to write and the detailed review of literature. Let us understand what is this review of literature, why this is important, and what are the common mistakes that we do, and how you can write the review of literature in a more systematic and scientific way. And review of literature is a critical look at the existing research that is significant to the work that you are carrying out. Whatever the topic that may be, you need not to reinvent the wheel. So, you need to see what is the existing research in that field, what is the new happenings that are there in the field. It is important to understand, so that your research can provide some innovative new knowledge. So, to provide background information is also one of the purpose of doing this review of literature, to establish the importance of your study. For example, this study is very important. This study is significant in the present context. How you are going to establish that in your research proposal? Because if you read studies and find research gaps, okay, so and so study has done till this, and my study is going to address this, and that is why it is important this proposal need to be accepted. So, here and to further, if you see, to demonstrate familiarity, that means if you are submitting a proposal or a dissertation, in this context the examiners will look at, okay, whether you know the scholars in that area, books in that area, theories in that areas, concepts in that area of study or proposing. So, that will be indicated by mentioning some of the important arguments presented by various scholars. What is the other purpose? To carve out a space for further research. Like I told you, to find out the research gaps and tell that this is a new study, this is going to give a new perspective for the existing study. So, then your research will be accepted. Let us look at the characteristics of effective review of literature. First thing, you need to outline the important research trends. One of the important thing is that in the digital, the problem is every student keep downloading lot of material. They end up downloading so many papers, so many books, but when you actually come to the research writing, it is very important that you need to see and assess the strengths and weaknesses of the existing research, and whether the material is really useful for your review of literature or not, that you need to see. And also identify the potential gaps in the knowledge, because how your study can address and improve the existing knowledge, that is very important. And A has done this, B has done this thing, C has done thing, and now I am going to do this, that is very important. So, here establishing a need for current and future research projects is important. And let me also clearly tell you, while writing the review of literature, Many students, they actually keep the review of literature in the form of, they have studied a book and they are writing a small paragraph about the book, and the reference is given after that, or a link is given. Now, one after the other you are giving, that is a wrong way of doing a review of literature. And another way you are doing the mistakes, that you will be writing each paper, maybe you will be combining them and presenting them thematic way and not giving in-text citations. Okay? I will explain you what is in-text citations in future. Now, let us see establishing, let us see the how you can write systematically the review of literature, the steps in writing a review of literature. First, you need to plan the what are the research study requirements, what are the concepts in your study. If there is a topic in your study, there are different concepts which are there in the study, you need to identify them, you need to do wherever what are the direct references that is required, what are the references which you need to understand that topic. Ultimately, in the any research topic, you will be the person who is doing and getting the new data, but to understand the new data, for example, impact of COVID-19 news on the viewers. So, if it is a television study, then you need to understand television news, how television functions, in the sense in terms of impact, either in any other previous impact studies, it is a health communication study, you need to also study about health communication. So, you need to identify such areas that okay, these areas which I need to get the data. So, that is why COVID-19 statistics you need, and the number of research items that are broadcasted in a sampling that you have selected, maybe 2 televisions channels or maybe newspapers, then you will be getting that, and you will be understanding the nature of the medium and different research methods that need to be studied also. So, you need to understand the requirements of the study, you need to plan that first. You need to plan that first. In fact, it is a very good method that if you take a chart and write, maybe there are different even softwares on the web also, concept mapping. That means, you will be linking like bring a flow chart, that how you, what are the for example, if you are talking about COVID and health communication and the news and WHO. So, you need to connect them, and you say you need data from these sources, and after that you need to read that and you need to present it, and that is what is called report writing. In the report writing, you need to not just only give the gist of the article, it is important to analyze them. It is again, let me tell you, one golden rule in writing review of literature is writing, rewriting, rewriting and rewriting. That means, you need to bring out first draft, rough draft, second draft, third draft. So, here in the first draft you will read only book wise or maybe resource wise, it is a video, it is an interview, but in the second draft you will be trying to understand base, you will analyze and draft. First is analyzing, first is planning, analyzing, then drafting according to thematic wise. One is you can also give in terms of the chronological order, presenting the review of literature, but you need to draft them keeping your research question and objectives in mind. When we are reading, everywhere we are trying to argue that what are the ideas which we do not agree, what are the argument by different scholars which we agree, but what are the data that is important to support our argument. So, we are presenting in a single essay in a simple way, you are answering to an essay type question. So, here in this process you are quoting different scholars. So, in this it is drafting, revising, drafting, revising, analyzing, and here in the review of literature, first you must have a good idea of the broad area of your study, like I told you, and so you know the parameters of your literature review, and you also need to see some of the studies, they are very very current topics, my students keep coming and asking, I do not find any review of literature. This may be a common problem, but every research will have review of literature, but some studies will have more literature, some studies will have very little previous research is done. So, here we will do review of literature which are directly on your studies. For example, if I am studying impact of mobile on youth. So, mobile studies there may be many people might have done in not only in India, in different parts, but mobile studies in India with the same title and topic somebody might have done. So, then there is a direct studies, there is indirect studies. Sometimes if it is a very recent topic like COVID, maybe you may not find review of literature. They are there, but still there are different concepts like health communication is there. So, then you need to understand about health communication, then you are the person who will be developing review of literature. So, let us see the and also how you can gainfully use the review of literature in your study. The review of literature, through this you must offer a critical review of work that have been done on this topic. It is not that you have presented a gist, you have read a paper, presented a gist. No, you need to see what is that scholar is saying, how that scholar argument is important for your study. Do you agree with it? Do you disagree with it? That way you can say that. So, and second one is contextualize the findings of your study. That is what the Kumar in 2005 says, contextualize. That means there may be many studies about mobile storytelling or mobile studies and cell phone and communication, but that may be done in Australia and some other place, but I have to see in Indian context if I apply same theories, same concept, now what I am looking at, how my arguments are built. So, contextualizing is very, very important, and you are telling the reader what work has been done on a particular topic. Okay? It also giving a wide range of work that has been done, and also your review must be centered around your research question and purpose of your study. Okay? Review of literature, like this is the problem I am telling you, finding many books digitally, and you will find many other sources, but the point is that you need to see what is really important for your study. You always look at your research question and objectives, basing on that only you need to have the review of literature, and summarize the main findings. Okay? There are findings which are very, very directly related to your study. There are findings which are also contributing, but you need to see that what are the main findings, what are the findings which are least important, but you will be trying to organize them. It is only, for example, your dissertation is published or maybe it is in the library, when new person has come, you will be telling your dissertation in a systematic way. That is the purpose of it, and that is why you summarize and draft, analyze again. You critically analyze them, how to organize review of literature. Like I told you, thematic way, that is one of the way which I always tell my students and to you also, that thematically divide them into different themes, then you present it. So, and do not write review of literature with each paragraph beginning with the name of the different researcher and his study. No, like for example, Kusuma in APA style, Kusuma comma 2021 says, no, you should start with an introduction, give some lines, then in between you quote. Sometimes what happens, you present the theory and then go to the next theory. No, why did you present the theory, and how you are interpreting that theory, your interpretation. In your review of literature, it is not that all other scholars you are reading and putting, no, how you are arguing with that scholars, that need to be there, and organize the review according to the themes, findings, methodology. Sometimes you can also do chronologically. Sometimes you see, in the sense I mean to say that you need to follow certain style guides. So, for like a research publication is a systematic process from the beginning, and while you are doing the publication, it is important to follow a style guides. What are these style guides? They are style guides to format your research, so that if I wanted to say Marshall McLuhan says is world is a global village. Okay, where did Marshall McLuhan said, in which year, in which book, where that book is published, when that book is published, and what is the location of the book, I should know. So, that is why these style guides like APA style, American Psychological Association, there is a APA 5th, APA 6th, in your Microsoft Word also it is there. Otherwise, there are number of other softwares like Mendeley or Site Search or Site Engine machines are there, which we call. So, you can create citations. That means, when you are writing your review of literature, if you are quoting Marshall McLuhan, then in APA style you will be giving full citation. Marshall McLuhan 1964 Understanding Media and where it is published and all, you will give at the end. That is called, if it is a proposal, you will kind references, or if it is a thesis or a dissertation, you will say bibliography, and you will give all the bibliographies in alphabetical. But why I am telling this is because if you are mentioning one of his word, what is this? World is a global village, in quotes. Whenever you are taking exact verbatim, then you put it in double quotes. Then you have to give, then in the brackets McLuhan 1964 bracket close, that is in APA style. MLA Modern Language Association, it is again a different style of formatting. So, every formatting is different, that is why I advise when you do it. So, whatever you cite, that means year and the author in the review of literature is actually in text citation. But again, if you mention here, if you do not write the full reference at the end, then that is wrong. You have to give full reference at the end, you have to give in text citation here. So, that way sometimes in APA style, and that also requires page numbers. For example, that exact verbatim you have taken page number 99, or maybe that idea is discussed 99 to 200, 99 to 100. So, you mention 99 hyphen 100, P big, P small, that means page number is there. So, that is why in text citations and citation full references are very important when you are writing review of literature. And methodological discussing about how a particular method is you have used, how it is important, and the debates over methods, and why only you have used this method, why only this tool is used, and you will be presenting your arguments and linking different scholars is very important. So, for example, you will make arguments like this in your review of literature. Similarly, author B points to, and in another way you see, likewise if you are agreeing, you say likewise author C makes the case that. So, if you want to do again another type of argument, author D also makes this point, you say that author T. For example, again author D, Ranbir 1960 in brackets also makes. Here you will not mention only author, you mention the year first time, later you can also say that. So, again it is possible to see how author E, again you give an example, again it is possible to see how author E agrees with author D. So, disagreements and agreements is a part of writing the review of literature, and we need not to be worrying that if we disagree, our research will be disqualified. No, you can also disagree, maybe there are researches and theories made maybe 30 years back, maybe I do not know how they are relevant in the present digital world. So, it is important to see, you can say that sometimes you say conversely the author D argues according to so and so author, or you can say even you can also summarize like that, nevertheless what author E suggests, that is very important. So, here there are active voice or passive voice you should use wherever it is appropriate. Both active voice and passive voice are fine. As a general rule, use active voice unless there is a good reason not to use it in a specific way. And example, we are going to watch a movie tonight, that is active voice. A movie is going to be watched by us tonight is a passive voice. So, here it communicates both, but again depends on the style guide that you are using is very important. In the writing research process, which I have already told you, that rough draft, final draft, edit, edit again, show others. You also show it to your peer group and maybe professors, not only your professor whom you are doing your dissertation, but also other professors, take opinions, and proofreading is also very, very important, looking at the language expression. Now, you have many softwares which also tells you about plagiarism is also very important, and also presenting them in a very systematic way. I would say that whether the arguments are systematically, the flow of thought is there or not, that has to be shown. So, since you are keep on writing, you may not be able to find your mistakes. It is better to show it to your friends and ask them to read and give their opinion. So, that is why it is very important. So, what is its purpose? Clarity, to get clarity, and are you able to communicate what you wanted to argue in this, and what is the flow of thought? Flow of thought is there, or is there suddenly you are jumping to some other argument? Is it continuous systematically you are making argument, and whether you are making sense of what your new theories that you are trying to propose, new perspectives. So, is there any areas some left outs? Sometimes you say that some places that why did not you use this scholar? Okay, this is the study, then you can always quote this scholar. So, likewise you can find if there is any scholar is left out by again going through it. So, here it is very important to cite the statements. So, citations are very, very important. A good review of literature is focused. The topic should be narrow. You should only present ideas and only report on studies that are closely related to the topic, and concise. The idea should be presented in a concise way. I am not telling briefly, concise, in the sense it is not that you will be writing too much of explanation. You write the apt words and expressions, so that it will be concise and to the point, and do not take any more space than you need to present your ideas. So, logical, the flow within and among the paragraphs should be a smooth logical progression from one idea to the next. So, that is very, very important. And developed, do not leave a story half told, in the sense you are trying to present some argument and you left and jump to this another argument. No, you try to finally make an argument and you go to the next argument. And integrative, your paper should stress how the ideas in the studies are related, focus on the big picture, and what commonly do all the studies share. How are some studies different from others? Your paper should stress, paper or dissertation should stress how all the studies reviewed contributed to your topic, and the current, your review should focus on the work being done in the cutting edge of your topic, but what is currently published 3 months back, 2 months back, and there is no wrong, even before you 1 week of submission you look at that and incorporate. And some of the pitfalls is in writing the review of literature, which I have already mentioned earlier also, that vagueness due to too much or inappropriate generalization. When you are putting any statement or any points, you are responsible for even a comma and full stop. So, if you sweepingly say that COVID-19 everybody has suffered, no, you cannot say that. You have to have a data and you have to have other researches, and a limited range of insufficient information. This is also very dangerous, which will not bring a good research, and irrelevant material and omission of contrasting views. Okay? If there is any contrasting, contradicting, you must always check that, and omission of recent work. Common errors in reviewing the literature, that if you see, hurrying through the review to get started could mean that you will miss something that will improve your research. That means, if to do a good research, review of literature is a foundation, you need to do it better, and relying too heavily upon the secondary sources. No, see, some researches requires secondary data, but if you have a provision to do a primary data, you try to balance between secondary and primary data, and do not rely too much on the secondary data for the study, and so the newness will not be there. and concentrating on findings rather than methods. Okay. The method, the process is more important than the final findings. Okay. How you have done it is very important. Even you have, there are limitations, there are problems in finding, there is a depth of literature, that itself is a finding. That itself is an important thing. The method of approaching each data or each review of literature is very important. Overlooking sources other than academic journals, do not forget to also see newspaper articles, magazines, blogs. Sometimes you get very latest information through this, but having said that, you try to look at first the academic journals, which will be latest, then books, then all these things. And searching too broad or too narrow of topic, that is also there. You need to maintain the balance, and inaccuracy in the compiling of bibliographic information and also summarizing the findings. Critically analyze them. Do not prepare a laundry list and connect the findings. What they have in common, what is different, and which I have already discussed, and arguments against and for, and what areas remain unexplored, and will you be exploring that area, are there any controversial areas, why so, and connect, and also connecting the method, and who use in the similar studies, and what kind of methods and how they have tweaked it, or maybe what happened as a result, and are you using similar methods, are you improving on a previous method. If you are using a survey, for example, what kind of survey you are using, in which platform you are using, how you are using, that is very important, and what are the theoretical framework used by the author. And here I would like to give you a list of reporting verbs that you can use while doing presenting your review of literature. I will read out for you one by one, so that it will be very, very useful when you are actually writing your review of literature. So, one is argue, assert, assume, challenge, claim, contend, contradict, describe, dispute, emphasize, establish, examine, find, that means maintain. So, it is a note. For example, to note, scholar A says like this: object, observe, as scholar B observed, so persuade. In persuasion too, so propose, author A proposes, so prove, hence it is proved. So, purport, recommend, refute, reject, remark. As a remark, the scholar A says, scholar B suggests, in support. So, these are all very important reporting verbs which will help you and in the studies, and I am sure when you follow these referencing styles with the in-text citations and the end references, and if you present them in a systematic way as I have explained, it will give you a good sense of well fitted argument for your study, and your review of literature will be helpful for not only your submission of your proposal or a dissertation, but also other readers who will gain knowledge on that specific topic. Thank you very much. I am sure you have enjoyed this session, and review of, do not forget, review of literature is not just only a specific chapter. Review of literature is there from the beginning of your research to the end of your research, in the introduction, in the analysis, in the discussion, in the methodology, in the conclusion. So, review of literature is a continuous process that you need to do to gain more and more knowledge and command on the subject, and thank you very much. Keep studying and keep learning.